97.1 Wash FM.
Good morning, America. Overnight, President Trump's State of the Union address, calling a divided Congress and country to unity.
There is a new opportunity in American politics if only we have the courage together to seize it.
But the president stands his ground on a border wall, takes aim at the Democrats.
If there is going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation.
And the moment that surprised the president, what he said that brought both parties to their feet. The big question now, can Congress prevent another shutdown just 9 days away? Our political team breaks it all down from Washington.
Also this morning, the new alert about dangerous ice, sparking evacuations in the Midwest. FEMA warning drivers to stay off roads, and now that storm is moving east.
The murder mystery in one of America's safest cities, the gruesome discovery, and the investigation underway.
New fallout from the Liam Neeson firestorm. The red carpet at his big movie premiere canceled overnight after those comments on race and revenge. And the reaction to what he told Robin right here on GMA.
You want to explain what you
Caught
said?
on camera. The woman distracted by her phone when a mugger grabs and drags her. The hero valet who jumped in just in time.
And the rare interview, 5 of Duchess Meghan's closest friends now breaking their silence, taking a stand against what they call global bullying, targeting their friend and mother-to-be.
Live in Times Square and Washington, D.C., this is Good Morning America.
And we certainly do say good morning, America. Great to have Amy here with us on her birthday, no less.
Oh, thank you very much. It's good to be 29, guys.
Oh.
Good to be 29.
Your story, you're sticking to it.
Yep.
You're here. George is there in Washington, of course, covering the State of the Union. Good morning, George.
Good morning, guys. Amy, I'm right behind you. I turn 30 next week.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Robin, it was a night of theater. It was a night of fireworks. There were some touching emotional moments. You had the whole chamber singing happy birthday to a Holocaust survivor at one point, but there were also raw, hard politics, especially over the president's border wall. This was the first time the president addressed a divided Congress. The House was packed with dozens of new women and minority members, led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. You see her right there over the president's shoulder. Look at all those women right there, and looming over it all, the chance of another government shutdown. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega starts us off. And Cecilia, that deadline is coming fast.
George, just 9 days away from today, and no mention last night of the shutdown or the hundreds of thousands of federal workers impacted by it. But as you said, he did dig in on that main conflict, driving a wedge right now between both parties, his border wall. And while many Republicans were cheering, Democrats were not happy about it. President Trump making a call for unity in his State of the Union, a pitch for bipartisanship to a divided Congress.
We must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
He dove right into his speech, bypassing the traditional introduction from the House Speaker, his chief political rival, Nancy Pelosi. Right there behind him, all eyes on her many expressions, like when Trump brushed off the Russia investigation.
An economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations.
The Speaker rolling her eyes. In the chamber, a historically diverse Congress, a record number of women, many wearing white as a symbol of suffrage, staying seated during moments like this.
Members of Congress, the state of our union is strong. That sounds so good.
Though with this line about women's gains,
all Americans can be proud that we have more women in the workforce than ever before.
roaring applause from both sides of the aisle.
Don't sit yet. You're going to like this. And exactly 1 century after Congress passed the constitutional amendment giving women the right to vote, we also have more women serving in Congress than at any time before.
Immigration, the main focus of the speech.
Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards.
Even with another shutdown looming, the president is still digging in on his border wall.
I will get it built. Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
The family of a couple killed by an undocumented immigrant among the president's invited guests.
Year after year, countless Americans are murdered by criminal, illegal aliens.
In fact, studies show that immigrants commit fewer crimes overall compared to people born here. And nonviolent drug offender Alice Johnson, pardoned by the president after spending decades behind bars, brought to tears by his praise. The president also took credit for the state of relations with North Korea.
If I had not been elected president of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea.
Despite his call for unity, Georgia Democrat Stacey Abrams, the first African-American woman to deliver a State of the Union rebuttal, laid blame squarely at the president's feet without ever mentioning him by name.
The shutdown was a stunt, engineered by the President of the United States, one that defied every tenet of fairness and abandoned not just our people, but our values.
Now, the president's State of the Union, an hour and 22 minutes long. That made for the third longest State of the Union in history. George, he also made some news on his upcoming visit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. That will be his second visit. He says it will take place on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam.
Okay, Steve, thanks very much for being on our political team. For more on this right now, Chief White House Correspondent John Carl. It was really two speeches in one last night. You had that call to unity, but also call to arms for the president's base.
Yeah, I mean, you had in the beginning of that speech and at the end, President Trump seemed to come out against Trumpism. I mean, the language is incredible. He talks about rejecting the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, bridging old divisions. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love. I mean, that is not the Donald Trump that we have seen over the past 2 or 3 years. And yet, where he seemed most passionate and energetic was when he went for his wall. He vowed he would build it, took the hard line on abortion. So we saw the hard line Donald Trump, but we saw that's not new. What was new here was this plea for unity. And even in the hard line, George, he did not call for a national emergency to build the wall, and he did not say that he would shut the government down.
He knows
again.
that's problematic even with his own party. Senior congressional correspondent Mary Bruce, you saw that moment where the president congratulated the new women members. He skipped the congratulations for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, but he could not mistake the fact she's sitting over his shoulder, and he did have that warning for her on investigations.
And look, she did have a polite, though sometimes amused, look on her face throughout much of the speech, but she also made very clear where she disagrees with him. We saw her shaking her head there throughout much of his remarks on immigration, that eye roll when he warned Democrats not to investigate him. Look, Democrats were skeptical of this speech and the president's calls for unity even before he delivered it. It was very clear that there are still huge divisions between the two of them. Democrats and Nancy Pelosi, they know that one speech is not going to move the needle or somehow heal the partisan divide.
And Matthew Dowd, chief political analyst, the president did lay out some things that Democrats like: infrastructure, bringing down the price of prescription drugs, but it doesn't look like there's much hope that any of that is going to actually get done over the next year. What did get done last night for the president was laying out a lot of themes for his 2020 campaign.
Yeah, I thought the president could have done a much better job of talking about more bridges, both literally and figuratively, than walls in this speech. This is obviously the beginning of the long slog to November 2020 in this. But what is striking to me is I think the president and his team have decided that because the economy isn't lifting his approval numbers, as you referenced last night, his approval is at the lowest point of any president at this point in time, they're going to head straight for wedge issues, and wedge issues like abortion and wedge issues like immigrants. So they've decided the economy can't lift him. They'd have to go to wedge issues.
And John, the president last night, speaking to a chamber, he clearly is looking to run again, at least right now, speaking to a chamber filled with possible candidates.
All over there. I counted at least a baker's dozen of Democratic presidential candidates on that floor, and it was interesting to see the kind of dance of who was going to applaud and who was not. But I think that this is a president almost desperate for a bipartisan accomplishment. He wants to make a deal with Democrats on something before he turns to those wedge issues.
Best chance for a bipartisan compromise?
The talks continue. The president has said these shutdown talks are a waste of time, but in talking with members that are hammering this out, they say they just want leadership and the president to give them the space to try and work this out, and they want once and for all the president to tell them what he is willing to sign.
Thank you all very much. Let's go back up to New York.
All right, thank you so much, George. And now to new trouble for Senator Elizabeth Warren, which is just days before she's expected to formally kick off her presidential campaign. The Washington Post is out with a new report revealing a document where Warren claims Native American heritage in her own handwriting. ABC's Whit Johnson is here with more. Good morning, Whit.
Michael, good morning to you. Senator Warren's biggest obstacle appears to be her own words, and this time it's in writing. Her claims of Native American ancestry prompting yet another apology, and she hasn't even formally launched her presidential campaign yet.
Rules made in Washington matter, and that's why I'm in this fight.
This morning, 2020 presidential hopeful Elizabeth Warren is facing renewed backlash over her claims of Native American ancestry. The Washington Post obtaining her 1986 registration for the State Bar of Texas, in which she listed her race as American Indian.
And no one, not even the President of the United States, will ever take it away from me.
Warren has been plagued by criticism of her various claims of Native heritage throughout her career, even touted as an example of diversity in Harvard's faculty in the 1990s. Warren says Harvard made that claim without her knowledge, but defended her choice to list herself as a minority in a national directory of law professors.
These are my family stories. My papa had high cheekbones, like all of the Indians do.
The controversy, a favorite pressure point of President Trump, who has repeatedly called Warren Pocahontas and challenged the senator to prove her heritage.
I will give you $1 million to your favorite charity, paid for by Trump, if you take the test and it shows you're an Indian.
In October 2018, Warren did take a DNA test, releasing the results in a campaign video claiming vindication.
What do the facts say?
The facts suggest that you absolutely have a Native American ancestor in your pedigree.
The video drawing strong criticism from a number of groups, including the Cherokee Nation. Last week, after meeting with Cherokee leadership, Warren issued an apology, and this morning, a spokesperson saying, as Senator Warren has said, she is not a citizen of any tribe, and only tribes determine tribal citizenship. She is sorry that she was not more mindful of this earlier in her career.
Now, a lot of the criticism has been over whether she used those claims of Native American heritage to advance her career. This now marks the earliest documentation of that claim. Again, she put it in writing while registering for a professional organization.
That changes things.
Oh, it does.
All right, Whit, thank you. Now to that urgent warning in the Midwest, a dangerous ice storm on the move. FEMA is now warning drivers to stay off the roads. Hundreds of flights have been canceled in Chicago, and Ginger has the latest for us. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning, Robin. These first images I'm going to show you tell the story. This is Antioch, Illinois, north and west of Chicago. You see it's falling as rain, but it hits a sub-freezing surface, and it freezes on contact. It creates this sheet of ice that accumulates, makes the roads like ice rinks, or like this car in Montcalm County, Michigan, just covered in icicles, accidents everywhere. There are 600 schools, according to WXYZ, our affiliate in Detroit, closed around Detroit this morning. And that's the first hit. There's another low pressure system that's going to bring another hit of ice from Madison, Wisconsin, through Mount Pleasant, Michigan, even into New England, which I'm going to have a whole lot more on. Plenty to talk about, Amy.
All right, always, Ginger. Thanks so much. Now to that murder mystery in one of America's safest towns, Greenwich, Connecticut. Police are making a very disturbing discovery, and now they're searching for some answers. Gio Benitez on the scene there with more of the story. Good morning, Gio.
Hey there, Amy. Good morning to you. Yeah, police are calling this an isolated incident, but it is a gruesome one. A woman's body was found inside a suitcase just off this road here, and now investigators have launched an all-out effort to figure out who's behind it. This morning, a mysterious and disturbing death in one of Connecticut's most esteemed areas. The Glenville section of Greenwich, Connecticut is both picturesque and affluent, but now it's at the center of what police are calling a murder mystery. A young woman's body found inside a suitcase on the side of the road, her hands and feet bound.
We have no doubt that there was a homicide involved.
The woman is believed to be between 18 and 30 years old. Police say highway workers found the body Tuesday morning, 10 to 15 feet off this quiet rural road.
It wasn't too busy this morning. All of a sudden, everything broke out. You know, cop cars going both ways. We thought there was an accident.
Police believe the woman was killed somewhere else and brought here. A murder, especially this gruesome, is unusual in this Connecticut town.
We do not know the manner or cause of death at this time, but this is an active homicide investigation.
And police say the medical examiner is trying to identify the woman. They say they have some leads, but it may take a while because police say this investigation will be long and methodical. Robin.
All right, as they all should be. All right, thank you, Gio. Now to that big Oscars news. Official word this morning that the host of this year's Oscars will be no one. It's the first time in 30 years the Academy Awards show will go hostless. TJ Holmes, who's over there animating what I said. Like, what are you doing over there?
Well, okay, no host, no problem. The show has to go on. We're going to be all right. Everybody just calm down. Okay. It's going to be fine.
Who's excited?
Okay, yeah.
You're the one that's excited.
Look, they're letting me go to the Oscars for the first time this year, so I'm a little hyped. See, look at that. Yes, everybody understand. First year, no host. See how that works. But look here, the whole controversy with Kevin Hart, that played out, but the Academy says they're not having a host now, not because they couldn't find one, because they want to actually cut down on the timing of the show that traditionally goes long. They said, hey, but still expect a big spectacle. It's going to be fun. They're going to have all of the best songs going to be performed, so that's a good thing, including Shallow with, yes, these two, Bradley Cooper
so they
and
are
Lady Gaga. They are going to perform this. But Bradley Cooper, his movie, A Star is Born, has gotten a lot of nominations. He didn't get one for Best Director, so listen to him tell Oprah Winfrey how he felt about that.
And the first thing I felt was embarrassment, actually.
Oh.
Well, think about it. I felt embarrassed that I didn't do my part. So I'll work on that. It'll be,
Yeah. I'm at least glad you said that, because if I were you, I would be feeling some kind of way about it.
Yeah, embarrassment. I went, oh gosh, I didn't do my job.
But you know you did.
I do.
He did.
Yeah, it was his directorial debut, correct? So it's the first time.
He felt like he was snubbed, a little embarrassed, but he's going to be all right.
Opinion, but
February 24th, I'll see y'all out there.
You'll see you out there.
We'll see you out there from here.
Okay, and if you can't go, you can see the Oscars right here, ABC, Sunday, February 24th.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you, TJ.
You got it, man.
I appreciate that. And now we're going to go to Slate's 5 time. The close call caught on camera.
Close call caught on camera. Close call caught
I
on
didn't
camera.
really mean that, Robin. I
Sorry.
was just saying close call caught on camera. A woman's walking down the street. She's distracted by her phone when all of a sudden a mugger, he grabs her. He starts dragging her. Wow. But the hero valet saw what happened, jumped in to help that woman. She escaped. And the LAPD is now sharing this video saying you should always be aware of your surroundings. We're all distracted by cell phones. But when you get a chance, make sure.
Good for that valet for jumping in like that.
I was just talking about this with my daughters. We went to a self-defense class yesterday, just to be aware of your surroundings. That is the first and most important part to prevent. Why are you looking at me like that, TJ?
No, I was trying to figure out this video, and I'm listening to you now that we have to do this, right?
Yeah, actually, you've got a daughter. We've all got daughters. We got to be careful. All right, we got to go to Ginger now. She's got ice jams and flooding out there.
And I'm aware of every surrounding right now. Thank you for that. Your local, we start with West Seneca, New York. This is an ice jam. They caused some flooding concerns. Now we have flooding concerns because of a stationary front. This is going to happen overnight. Severe storms possible tomorrow. Your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the rainy cities. I'm looking around. Sponsored by Target.
All the way, all the way. Tell me all the ways, and you said, girl, you take care of me. You are my therapy, the better half of me. Say it again. If you love me, love me, love me like you say. Darling, tell me all the ways. Tell me all the ways.
Now, we're bringing you all the ways to get what you need. Target run and done.
Chance of a little midday filtered sunshine. Otherwise, it will be much cooler today. Grab the jacket. Small umbrella, too. After 2 o'clock, chance for some showers up until about 2 p.m. 54 degrees, your high temperature today at 3 o'clock. And we do have a shower chance for Thursday evening into Friday morning, and there's still the possibility of a storm threat Monday and Tuesday of next week. Wouldn't go changing those plans, but one thing is for sure, the cooler air returns this weekend. Saturday and Sunday, 39 to 43 on Sunday.
The new fallout overnight from Liam Neeson's comments about race and revenge.